Welcome back, everyone. I'm Eric, and this is NFTY Sports. Chances are you've heard of Soraredata and you're already using it. But if you're like me, you weren't nearly getting all they have to offer, and you're leaving value on the table when it comes to setting that winning lineup. Well, not anymore. Today, Andrew Laird, head of content at Soraredata, joins me and goes over ways to maximize 4 different tools on their site. We're talking projections, live market, lineup builder, and impact players. If you're looking to start playing or already playing on a weekly basis, you need to see this one. Initially, I was planning on cutting this into my weekly strategy and update video that drops every Thursday, but I decided that this needs to be a special episode in itself. That one's still coming, so hit that subscribe button and check out my other socials and Soraredata's socials down in the description below. If you haven't signed up yet, there's also a link down there for you to get started with 20 cards for the free competitions. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out by commenting or shooting me a DM. All right, hope you enjoy this one. Let's go. All right, we're live here with Andrew from Soraredata.com. Excited. Andrew, thanks so much for coming on today. We're going to break down all the tools that you need to know. I love Soraredata's phrase, or their coin phrase, where your victories start. It's something that jumped out right at me when I looked at their Twitter page. So we're going to get into 4 major things here today. But first, Andrew, thanks for coming on, and just introduce yourself real quick and a little bit about Soraredata, just like a general intro. This is going to be part of the weekly episode. So we're super, super happy to have you on here as a guest, and thanks again.
No, thank you so much for having me on. So I'm the head of content at Soraredata, and as you said, your victories start with Soraredata, but basically we are a data site that is based on Sorare. We started with football, and when they expanded to Major League Baseball and the NBA, we expanded as well. And we kind of want to be the place that you go for everything that has to do with Sorare that isn't necessarily on Sorare itself. But whether it's figuring out how much you should pay for a card or sell a card for, or helping you scout to figure out which players you should be trying to get, how your portfolio is doing, how you can kind of value that portfolio over time, today, whatever it is, there's just a lot that goes into playing Sorare regardless of the sport. And so our site is basically made to help make that process a lot easier. And we're going to go through a few tools to make that we believe help make the NBA game a lot easier to play.
Awesome. So we've talked about it a little bit. I mean, we go over it basically every week on our weekly episode here, but more specifically today, we're going to roll up the sleeves just a little bit more. And this portion is going to be about 10 to 15 minutes, but we're going to hit on 4 different things. So projections is something that we've seen already. I've gone over it briefly, but Andrew's going to give us a couple more tips. Then we're going to go over live market, something that I haven't talked about at all. I didn't know quite that it was available and filterable in this sense. So I'm really, really excited to go over that. Lineup builder, which we've touched on very briefly, and then impact players, which is something brand new that I had mentioned last week, being curious about, but really excited to get into that as well. Should I share the screen here?
Yeah, let's rock.
Cool. All right, help me drive here, Andrew. I'm starting off here on the Soraredata homepage. Where should we go to get to the projections tab?
So the one thing I'm going to say, like right off the bat, is one of the things we pride ourselves at Soraredata is like creating and releasing new tools like all the time. And so admittedly, what you see today might be slightly different than in a month or 2 months. I'll come back on and we can discuss that as I invite myself back here. But so as of today, if you go to the SO5 drop down right at the top of the screen there, and then go to Game Week Center.
Game Week Center. Yep. This is where we usually direct people.
Right. So it defaults to football, but you can select basketball right there. It's easy enough. And then the projections button is there. We only have projections for NBA at this time. So we'll see what happens with the other sports. But basically what this is a page that shows the L10 and the best projected score of the upcoming game week. We get our projections from RotoWire, which is one of the kind of biggest fantasy sports content sites out there. And it kind of helps you see like which players have the best opportunity to outperform their L10, or the difference, or those who may be coming up short. Happens a lot where we see like if a guy spikes and then all of a sudden, whoever he was playing for comes back, you'll see a difference there. So we try to get as much as we can on this page. And essentially it's the L10 all the way on the left, the best projected score that you get in the upcoming game week, since we know that Sorare only uses the best score that you get of the game week. So we do show the projection from all of the games, just so you can see for yourself whether, if a player has one really good projection. We see in this instance with Doncic, maybe they already announced that he's not going to play in the second game of the game week. So you'll see the projected score as well as the projected minutes for each game. And then we kind of do this differential and a ratio to help you, like if you want to see who the biggest gainer is in terms of like L10 to their projection, all of these columns are sortable. So you can just like click on the diff right after right there. So once you see like Darren Sharp has the highest differential, so he has an L5, or excuse me, an L10 of 5, and he's projected for 38. Obviously, there are probably some big Nets, big players from the Nets who are resting in that game too. So he obviously gets a huge bump in minutes as well as fantasy points. And one of the things that you can do, there's a toggle that says show floor price, which is like there you go. And that'll actually show you like how much all of the, like the lowest price on the secondary market is for those players. So if you're like going through and you're like, oh man, I wonder how much this card's actually being sold for, this toggle like lets you see just that.
Awesome. Do you know if there's a way to switch it over to US dollars yet, or is it staying in ETH for now?
I believe if you go to your settings, which is like if you click on your manager name on the top right, and then there should be a settings and membership.
Got it.
And then there's a scarcity and currency option. Should be
good to know.
Settings
we can skip that for now.
Yeah, and then yes, you can select dollars, euros, or pounds.
Oh, amazing. Okay, cool. Good to know. And yeah, the day around Sharp makes a lot of sense. I mean, Claxton and Royce O'Neal are both going to be out, right? So, was on an unfortunate end of that one last week, but yeah, it's good to know here. It makes a ton of sense. And of course, as a rolling 10, right, the strategy is always just like you said, it makes complete sense here. If you're sorting it by projected, the higher Luka's last 10 gets, the worst chance he has of outscoring that. So if you're playing him in, this is going to come into play a lot in the in the contender competitions, right? Where you're wanting to, outperform your value as much as possible. And the MVPs may not make that big of a difference if you're playing somebody as an MVP like Luka, but for the non-MVPs, it definitely does.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also find ourselves in situations where we're like, who's like the best player with an L10 of, 25 or below? Because like, you made your lineup and that's what you have left. And that kind of, you can set up that with that range and kind of in the top right there. And you can just like reduce max points average over L10 and you can set it to whatever you want. And it'll show you like the highest projected player with an L10 of whatever that number is. So
there
it makes
it the sliding scale is so nice. It goes I covered this last week in a little bit of strategy that we did on the episode, but the sliding scales that you can use in the Sorare marketplace on the direct site are really slick too when it comes to looking for those particular players and who you want to buy. So
absolutely.
Make sure you guys use those sliding scales up there because super sweet when it comes to picking out who you want. Makes it easy to filter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the entire, like premise of the NBA game is like, who can I get? Who's going to score the most points for this, cost, which is basically like the L10. And this page hopefully is, the best way that we can like present everything along with the relevant information of like projected fantasy points and, card value or card prices for all the different scarcities. And that's why I find this to be like literally the most valuable page that we have on the site right now.
Amazing. Yeah, it is great. I love how it works out. And I'm going to get this thing filtered now that I know how to US dollars. Should we, anything else you want to touch on, or should we go into this new thing for us, the live market?
Yeah, so let's definitely jump into the live market because one of the big things that we try to do is provide more information than like basically what's on Sorare's website themselves. And Sorare announced the other day that you can see like the last 5 public transactions, but there are a lot of private offers that happen on Sorare, and those aren't necessarily shown. So a lot of what we do is trying to show just all the private transactions as well. And we generate kind of weekly or 3-day averages in terms of card values, so that when you're going through the live market, you know exactly like how much recent cards have sold for, or how much the floor price is, so that if you're seeing something, the floor price isn't always necessarily close to what the recent sales have been.
Sure.
They're pretty close with limiteds, but as you go up in scarcities, sometimes the last rare card could have been sold for $75, let's say, and like the floor is 200, and it's like 200 isn't really a fair price. And so we want to be able to show people like what cards have actually sold for recently, and our live market page does that.
Okay, awesome. Let's take a look at it here. I'll pull it up on the screen. To get to that, you're going to want to go to the top tab, the market tab, and drop down to live market. And of course, you can select a filter that says basketball. So for this particular episode, we're going to basketball. It's the first filter you can choose. All sports was how it was to begin with. And then you hit that filter button and you're good to go. So what am I looking at here?
So this is actually it's a little different for auctions and for the secondary market. So these are the auctions, which is, I feel like, another really good place to look. But basically, like the big, bold price right in the middle there, like if you look at that Kelly Olynyk, that's the current bid price.
Okay.
What you can see to the right of it is the current floor price.
Okay.
So that's the floor price on the secondary market. And then the one to the left is the 3-day average. So you can see like right away whether like Olynyk's current bid price is actually higher than his recent averages, but it's obviously much lower than the floor price. But a lot of times what we're seeing is people are paying more on auction than they are what's on the secondary market. So that Brandon Clark card, the current bid is 0.0128 Ethereum. But if you notice, you can actually get one on the secondary market right now for 0.0120.
Okay.
So if you're trying to like check out the auctions, it's easy here to be like, do I want to make that next bid? Or, oh, wait, there's one on the secondary market that's cheaper. And if you click on the big price, it'll take you directly to the auction on Sorare.
Wow. Okay, cool. So this is going to save me a lot of time, because how I've been rocking is just have 2 tabs open at all times.
Yeah. So
one for the marketplace. And when you're searching for 5 to 10 guys at a time, it gets really crazy. So
that's exactly like the point. I mean, that Gobert card next to it is the exact same thing. Like the current high price is higher than the floor price. So
okay, so let's do that. Let's take a look at this Rudy Gobert auction. You just click on the middle price right here, and it takes you directly to the Sorare page. On that auction, you see there is 2 minutes and 59 seconds available, and you can bid right there. Super clean, super easy.
Yeah. So like we had some initial feedback when we first created this page that were like, I'm looking at the auction, but then I have to like go over to Sorare and I have to search the player and all this stuff. But like that brings you directly to the auction. So it's like 1 click to Sorare, 2nd click to bid.
Sweet. That's amazing. Super helpful. Anything else on this page before we go ahead and look into building that lineup? So, we're doing this in order here. We're looking at the projections, then we're looking at who you want to buy, and then now it's time to set the lineup.
I am going to throw one more thing. If you go to the offers, like the secondary market, it's just, instead of auctions, it's that little offers tab in the top.
Offers tab. Okay, right here. Auctions, offers, bundles, offers right here.
Yeah.
Tab it over there.
Back to basketball. And then one of the cool things that we have is if you click the 3-day average on that Ja Morant card, so you'll notice that the floor price is the same as that price that's right there. So that means that's the floor price. But yeah, if you click that, this will show you the price of all recent Ja Morant cards.
There we go. Then you can filter it right up here with the dollar sign too.
What's that?
This allows you to filter it with the dollar sign. I just noticed. Sorry for cutting you off.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
So if you pull up this page, like you'll be able to see the price of all recent transactions. And this is like public offers, which are the ones that are shown on Sorare, but it's also the direct offers, which are the kind of the private ones that, if you notice on Sorare, they have like 2 arrows. This will show the actual price of those as well, just to give you like a better idea of like where the price has been. So you can see if this new, price on Morant is like close or not so close to the recent sales.
Awesome. So, okay, yeah, here's where we're looking at. The auctions are in the blue dots, public offers, pink dot, direct offer in the red.
Yep.
So, it looks like there's locked here, but if you have a pro membership, which we'll talk about later on, before we wrap things up here, you can see things like your purchases, sales, and other data points on there too. So, super cool to take a look at moving forward.
Yep. Yeah, that's like I said, there are some things that are for our pro and star members that, like you said, we'll get into a little bit. But I mean, you can see still a ton just using our rookie plan, which is our free one, including just that chart that you can tell where the values are right there.
No doubt. Cool. All right. Should we move into impact players?
Did you want to do the lineup builder first?
Oh, lineup builder. Yeah, let's do it. Lineup builder. So back to lineup builder SO5 tab, lineup builder, and of course toggle over to basketball, and it shows you which competition you can choose, right? That's the first filter you're going to want to use. We've looked at this before, and you update them on a weekly basis, right? So the limited underdogs are in here, the no caps are in here. Back when they were doing Eastern Conference, you were able to throw those in too. So you guys move quick.
Yeah, the number of like contests that come up, these things aren't like the easiest thing to just throw in there. So we try to get enough in there that when Sorare does have these competitions, it's kind of easy to just play around. But essentially, the idea with this screen is just this: it's helping you build your lineups. And once you dedicate certain players to certain lineups, they'll no longer be eligible to be used. If you put somebody in limited contender and you save that lineup, they're not going to show up in limited champion as an option unless you want them to. But the idea is simply that this allows you to see more information than what you're generally seeing on Sorare. And we did notice that Sorare put the last game scores on there. Like when you build your lineups, you can hit, I think there's like a info I or something like that, and you can see the scores that the players have had over the last 10 games. But the biggest benefit for this one is that you can see the projected scores. So you're actually trying to see exactly how many points your team is projected to score. And what we do is we compare that to how many points were required to win certain rewards in previous game weeks.
Cool.
So you can say, my this lineup that I just put in is projected to score 165. And we say over the last 10 game weeks, that came out to a tier 3 or tier 4, whatever it is. And so it just kind of gives you a better idea of like where your lineup could finish based on everybody else's.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. It's actually one of the things that I had thought about doing as a value point to the community here. But, I was doing it like spreadsheet stuff,
Yep.
Like it's like just kind of tracking like, this week, last week, we kind of look at a rolling 3 weeks on the weekly episode here. We look at the past week, we do a live look into the current week, and then we look ahead to the next week and kind of have been tracking these overall scores, top tier lineups and stuff like that. But having this right in front of you right here is great. I'm on the limited contender right now, and it says like a range of 247 to 226 for that tier 1. And then 226 to 179 for a tier 2. So these are the targets, you guys, that you want to look at here if you're looking to shoot into those limited rewards.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal. And then obviously, not every player ends up right on their projected score, but at least gives you kind of an idea of where, if that lineup hits and everybody gets to their projection, that's where it's going to end up.
Yep. I like this too, because the differential's on here too. You just filter off by the differential. A really slick tool that helps you get right into that lineup to know who your value players are. It looks like I need to buy some players with some bigger differentials this week.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. So one of the new things that we're working on, and it's it's currently live on this page, but I will warn everybody that we are improving this. So I don't even want to quite call it a work in progress, but that's basically what it is. But if you select that concept players toggle, which is right next to where you select the limited contender.
Okay.
So this, and then what I've been doing using this tool is then I now select my players only, which is kind of like right below it. The toggle is below the concept player, just where you click before to show concept players.
Oh, my players only.
Yep, right there.
Yep.
So if you select this, so basically, if you're building a contender lineup, and let's say you have 3 or 4 players that you want, if you just like select them in there, like you could even take your top 4 probably, or too much of a cap, but no, maybe not actually. Like if you just select like Kennard, Mikal Bridges, who's a personal favorite of mine.
This is by differential, so.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's probably even better because.
Okay, cool. So 1, 2,
yeah,
3, and 4.
Sure. Yeah, perfect. All right. So you have 4 guys here, and you're like, I don't know who I want for this last spot. If you unselect the my players only,
okay,
this now shows you everyone in the game and what they're projected to score. So you could even like select the eligible players only, which is on kind of the left side there.
Okay. Yep.
And now you're going to get all of the players with an L10 of, what is that, 33?
33 or under.
And it'll show you all of the players, and you can just see which players have the best projection within that. Although that didn't. Is that right?
That did. Yeah. Rudy Gobert should be my guy. Should have pulled the trigger around 2 minutes ago when we were on the game.
But so the idea is this is kind of like trying to help you complete a lineup. And like I said, we're still working on it. But if you're like, I have 4 guys, I don't know who the best one is that can still fit. That's basically what this concept players tool does, and allows you to see which kind of players you could be potentially looking at. And then it'll give you the kind of the floor price of the players of your lineup, and then the players that you might not have. So the upcoming game week is available on the lineup builder the second the current game week starts. Okay. So like if you want to build your lineups for the weekend, you can do that 1 second after the deadline on Monday. So you have like the entire week to do it. And there's actually an option in the top left where you can go game weeks ahead, which I don't really suggest. It's on the top, all the way on the top left, like under where your profile name is. Okay. There's like a drop down. It currently says game week 216, right? Just below that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. There you go. Yep. So you can pick future game weeks. I'll be honest, I don't recommend this for the purpose that like we don't know what the L10s are going to be in the future. Projections are really wonky, but like if you wanted to go ahead, like you could, but it's there for you. But yeah, you can like make your lineups for the weekend as early as Monday night.
Cool. This is going to be awesome. I mean, just for the weekly episodes, I feel like the feedback that I've been getting, Andrew, to be honest with you, is that not a lot of people are taking full advantage of what you guys have to offer. So really excited to get this one out, and
I appreciate you doing
out a lot of people, and probably help some people beat me in these game weeks. To be honest with you.
Yeah, so that's the biggest negative that we have working at Soraredata, is that we all play, and so we're building tools that help other people beat us. But it's just like really important for us to play, because we want to be able to make tools that are actually helpful for people. And so, like I said, it makes it a little harder to compete, because people have access to these tools that we could just keep for ourselves, but we don't. So
there we go. Doing good work for the community. Appreciate that. I think we all do. All right. One more tab. Impact players. Shall we?
Yeah, let's rock.
Okay. And to get to impact players, I am going to go to SO5 Game Week Center. And there is of course, the basketball tab up here. Go into impact players right here. So this is something that I just looked at, and I didn't really dive into it too much. So need a basic breakdown on this. And what are we looking at here?
So it basically tells you who the most popular players are in each each different tournament, whether it's limited champion, contender, super rare contender, whatever it is.
Like a usage rate on DFS?
It's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Okay,
Like they're
cool.
basically ownership percentages.
Awesome.
So what we see on this game week here is that Domantas Sabonis was the most popular player in limited champion, that there were 360 limited cards of Sabonis played. It's basically sorted by power, which is like based on XP. So we know that like cards have a certain XP percentage. What we did was we took the total XP of Sabonis and divided it by the total XP of all players. And so that's where that like 1.03% comes from.
Okay.
Most people don't care about that. They just care how many players are actually, or how many cards are actually being played there. And so that's basically what this shows, that Sabonis 360, Tyrese Halliburton 344, Anthony Davis 337. And it just gives you an idea of if I don't have one of these guys and they go off, how many people are going to benefit from that. So like if you didn't have Sabonis this week, then he has, 60 points is a pretty solid score. So you might be a little behind because you don't have him. You can also sort it by score. So it's just that second drop down filter
Okay.
sort by power, sort by score. You see Nikola Jokic is the highest scoring player of this current game week at 78.4. And you can see that there were 216 cards of his played in limited champion, which there were 39 players who were more popular than him. But then you see Embiid, AD, Doncic all up there because we know they score a ton of points and they're very popular in these competitions. And you can search by a specific player if you want to see how popular they were. And then the drop down just on the left where it says limited champion, you can just select any other competition and you can see all of these stats specifically for that. We did on our Soraredata NBA show last week, we were talking about this, how basically you can use this tool to see where people are playing certain cards. So like Embiid limited is very popular in limited champion, but like nobody plays him in contender, which is understandable because his L10 is really high and it's like tough to fit him in. But it kind of gives you an idea of like where certain players are being played.
Nice. Okay, that's very cool. I mean, like looking at the numbers just off the top of my head, like makes sense, right? Like if you have if you got Jokic in your lineup, Paul George, Melton in your lineup, then you're standing out as a unique roster and getting a lot of high upside. Probably going to find yourself in a nice position for the week.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's the point. And I say this, it shows the top players. It shows every player that's in the contest, but obviously it's sorted by the most popular at the top there.
Yeah, and again, this is extremely like relevant for non-MVP. So like your MVP is not going to matter, right? But any non-MVP slot, this is huge for. So cool. I love that. You can look at limited. Let's take a look at limited contender real quick. Again, Jokic, 400.
Well, that was you're still sorted by score. So if you change it to power, that'll show you
Okay. Jalen McDaniels, Keegan Murray, City Bay. Nice. Cool.
Yeah. So basically, like if you look at this and say, do I have one of these top guys or do I not? And if I don't, then if they had a really good game, then I might be in trouble. Whereas if you somehow avoided Alex Caruso, then you're fine.
Well, that is a sweet breakdown. We'll be using this too. This is going to be a really fun one to keep a look at. I think we hit all 4 of the main points on the head today. People are going to be stoked on this going into the future game weeks if they haven't known about them already. So a lot more, obviously, to uncover. We could go through this all day and find a ton of tips and a bunch of different use cases and stuff like that. But we'll wrap it up from here. Anything that you want to close out with? What's to come for Soraredata? Where can we find you? I know you have a weekly podcast that you guys put up specifically for NBA. So I want to direct people to that, your Twitter page. Break it down for us.
Yeah. Like I said, if we're always open to new suggestions, we've got like a ton of tools that we're working on already. So a lot of times we have suggestions and people are like, I would really love to see this. I'm like, don't worry. We know we're working on it. Like I said, like we play this game. And so we want to build tools that help people play the game better. And so, yeah, if you have any ideas, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is there, Andrew M. Laird. And you can find the Soraredata YouTube channel. It's just Soraredata. Soraredata is one, Soraredata NBA for the other. We do a weekly show. It's been on Wednesdays recently. More diving into like different strategies in terms of playing the game, not necessarily go buy these players or here are some, cheat codes for the upcoming week. Like we kind of do more high level strategy stuff. We're going to add a few more shows semi regularly as well, just kind of talking to different people in the community and how they're playing. And then, yeah, the Soraredata NBA Twitter handle is where you can see kind of that's the first place we kind of announce new tools and whatnot. So that's always worth checking out. And then, yeah, the Soraredata NBA show is on YouTube. We just started a Twitch stream as well. That is basically just the same show there. And then that show is also available anywhere you listen to podcasts, whether it's Spotify or Apple. Just search Soraredata NBA and it'll be there.
Awesome. Yeah. Take a look at their Twitter, and also their most recent YouTube video is pinned here, or just their most recent post up at the top. So yeah, YouTube, Twitch, go check them out. I've listened to a few of them. Really great show. Good group of guys over there going over everything Soraredata. Awesome, man. I'm excited to get this one out for everybody. What I'm probably going to do too is probably going to put this at the front end of the video and then use everything to build my lineup.
Yeah, sounds awesome.
Let's put this stuff into practice and see if we can get out of here with the top 100 finish on the week. That's my goal.
The hope for all of us, man.
Cool, Andrew. Well, thanks again for joining us here, man. Really appreciate the time. And I know you invited yourself back earlier, but you're always welcome here. So as soon as there's tools and updates, we can't wait to have you back on the channel and just stay in touch with you and everything that's going on with the Sorare community. So appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks so much. Good luck to you.
Okay. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. All right, there you have it, everybody. Thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing to the channel. Hope this one had a lot of value for you and that it helps you going into setting those winning lineups on Sorare NBA. I will be back with my weekly video tomorrow, and again, every single Thursday, talking about updates and strategy on Sorare. I'll see you there. Talk to you soon.